Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our weekly Developer Dynasty for Draft Day Sports Pro Basketball 2021. I am your host for tonight, Gary, the developer of Draft Day Sports Pro Basketball 2021, and we're going to take a look, as we've been doing every week, about some of the new features that I've been working on this past week. As always, I want to thank our followers. And if you are following, make sure that you've clicked that notifications enabled option here on Twitch so that you know when we go live. We've been live every Tuesday for about 2 months now, doing this Developer Dynasty for Pro Basketball 2021, and Fridays at 7:30 we've been doing the Developer Dynasty for Pro Football 2021. This has been a great new tool for us to use Twitch here to make contact with you. Every week for a half an hour and kind of get your feedback on what we're working on, get some ideas for what you'd like to see. It's a great way for us to interact. So I absolutely invite you to use the chat, the chat box here, so that anything you want to discuss or suggestions that you have, bring them up and we'll talk about them. I want to especially thank our subscribers to the channel, whether you are a paid subscriber or subscribing using the free monthly sub you get if you have your account linked to your Amazon Prime account. No matter which way you sub, we certainly appreciate it, as that does financially help us in this new endeavor here. And we are very excited that we are up to 229 followers. So if obviously for the big, huge channels out there, that's a drop in the bucket. But for us, that's really exciting growth here in our community. So I thank everybody who's been a part of that. We've got some exciting things to show off tonight, so I'm going to get right to it. I'm going to pull up one league that I've been working on here. Last week I showed off some of the new stuff that was going to be in the Insights tab. And one thing from the Insights tab last week that was new was this lineup tracking for the 4 factors, which are your effective field goal percentage, turnover percentage, offensive rebound percentage, and offensive free throw rate. So again, this is from an older sim file. As last week it didn't have the rebounding percentages corrected at that point, and it still doesn't in this one. But I just wanted to go back to the screen real quick and display it so that people know that this is a new option coming to the game. The game has already had a lineup tracking option here, which shows you every single lineup you use, the amount of minutes that they play, their plus minus, their offensive rating, defensive rating, field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, all this kind of stuff per lineup. So if you're new to the game, this Insights tab here is extremely useful because it really gives you some data that you wouldn't be able to grab anywhere else in the game. And the lineup tracking for me is one of the most useful features that there is, because it allows you to really identify where things either go right or go wrong, because it grabs all of the data for every lineup that you're using. So you can grab the data here and say, okay, this is the worst lineup we have, and it's been playing almost 72 minutes, as you can see, for the season. You can look at this and say, who is in the worst lineup consistently? Well, Charlton Knight appears in the 4 worst lineups. Zach Moore is in 3 of them. So if I'm looking at who's a potential issue defensively, or maybe lack of offense, that gives me something to look at there. Same way I can turn it back around. In the most prolific lineups, Charlton Knight is in all of those as well. So maybe he's not the issue. Zach Moore only appears in 1 of those. So he may be a defensive liability on the team. So this particular screen gives you that information, and the 4 factors is just kind of further going deeper with that information. Something new that is this week is a 4 factors team versus team. So this will let you see, rather than all of your individual lineups, this will let you see how your team as a whole stacks up against the rest of the league in these four categories. And if you're not familiar with four factors, it's something that was developed by Dean Oliver, who's a very bright statistician guy. He was doing this Moneyball type stuff way back, and I believe he's an assistant coach now with one of the NBA teams, and providing this sort of ongoing, detailed, very deep dive statistical analysis for them. But the four factors was something that he coined as something that is really a great way to look and see how your team is doing compared to especially other teams, and even the lineup to lineup matchup, so you can see which lineups are doing the best. But this will be new in the game this year, and I think this adds another level of depth here for the stats, because the stats have really come a long way in basketball in the last couple of years, and I want to get as many of those new stats, new ways to look at things into the game as possible. And that's what this insight screen is all about. You can see there's a number of other options here. One thing I like is the salary versus per chart, that you don't want to have players that are up here in the upper left quadrant where their salary is way high and their per is very low. But this kind of lets you see where your players are, in evaluating them on this sort of metric. Your players are in the color, dots that will match your team, while the rest of the league is in the gray dots, but their team colors will come up when you roll over them. But this lets you see, very easily in a nice, nice graph form, your top players and where they match up with the rest of the league. You get the stats here, a chart here for your direct stats against, your opponents. There's of course, the team rankings here. It tells you where your team ranks for every stat versus, and you get to see where the league leader is. So in this case, my Memphis team was first in steals per game, so we're over here as a steals per game leader. There's the efficiency versus usage chart, or the graph here. It's extremely useful. You can see who's taking up the bulk of the usage on your team, and see just how efficient they are with their true shooting percentage versus their usage rate. And there's also that in the entire league standing, so you can see where your guys you're stacking up against the rest of the league in terms of usage and true shooting. So really, on this screen, I can add unlimited options here. There's, I think, 11 different drop down choices now. There is no limit to what we can add on the screen. So if there's something, if there's a stat that you like that's out there, or a chart that you like that's out there, that you find interesting, whether it's just because you're following the NBA, or because you're using it for daily fantasy, or you're using it for if you play fantasy basketball, let me know what the chart is measuring. Send me the link of where you're finding the chart, and we can put that into the game. The game tracks, tons of stuff, so you can be able to we can add in anything that you want along those lines. So this insight screen, is a screen that I hope really never gets finished, to say, because there's always more stats we can add here. I don't want to add things that won't be useful, or that people aren't interested in. But if you are interested in something here, drop me a message here during this chat, or come back next time and put it in there, or send us a message through support, or through Facebook or Twitter or whatever, and let me know what you want here, and I can add it in. Let's go to the chat box. Breeze837, welcome back to the stream, Breeze. Question: rumors about possible trade destinations for players, and that stuff would make trade rumors interesting. I agree. There's the game does generate generic trade rumor news blurbs sometimes, it'll just say that whatever player is rumored to be on the trading block. It doesn't go as far as talking about possible destinations. So that's interesting. That's as you know, during the streams, I take all the suggestions here. We talk about them, and I make notes of them. See, if I can go back and add them in, if they'll fit in with the design and the capabilities. So that's a good suggestion. And then for Breeze 837 again for G League assignees, suggesting changing the rule to 3 because in real life 3 players can be assigned to the G League. I will, if that is, I don't. They had some changes this year with the G League, including the G League Select team. So that is something that I will look into and verify that that we have the right options for the game here. And I'm just making notes as we go here. So if that has been changed, then I will make sure that the game can do the same change there for 3. And then Seasoned Vet, also a veteran to our stream, so welcome back, Seasoned Vet. How about potential draft pick rumors throughout the year? I like that. I'm going to make a note of that. That's. I mean, I like the idea of anything we can add to the media section here. In this season, I'll just pull up the news. So you can see here where it says the Blast general manager, and this is obviously a fictional league. Blast general manager Brandon Dyer admitted he has had trade talks surrounding Ryab Bullock. Yeah, we've discussed that, but we discussed possibilities about many players. It doesn't mean a trade is in the works. So, as you can see, there are those blurbs during the year about players that are potentially trading or on the trade block. So I like the idea of possibly adding destinations to that, and the idea from Seasoned Vet about maybe who they're looking at in the draft. So that is absolutely something that would be useful in the coming forward here in the media section. And then Nolan's 34, possibly too late. It's never too late unless we're talking about something that's we have to rip the game apart for. But we're still in development here for Pro Basketball 2020. This one, we won't even have a release for even the first access period for some time still. So we got plenty of time here for suggestions, as long as they can be worked in. Is it possible to borrow the special trait from PF 2020, i.e. 3-point specialist, floor general, scorer, lockdown, defender, slasher, etc.? Let me ask you a question there, Norland's 34, on that. How does that impact your decision on a player? Is it something that you would rather see that special trait as opposed to sort of gleaming that from his ratings? Is that what that you're looking for from the special trait? Because I mean, we can certainly do that. We can have something along those lines. I mean, like I kind of thinking along the lines of like how 2K would have the the little icons on the floor for the guy who with a 3, or the hand. It's been so long since I played 2K, but the hand if they were their defender or something like that. That sort of thing. Nolan's 34. We could definitely do something along those lines. I also like that suggestion. We're having good suggestions here tonight. I appreciate the chat, guys. Breeze again, 837. If I play something on the trade block, where will I get offers for that player or pick when the game tells me? Okay, Breeze, let's do that one right now. I saw New Orleans with a response, so I'll get to that in a second. The trade block. Let's take a look at the trade screen here. So when you pull up the trade screen, you've got 2 options in terms of trading for the trade. So if you can come through here, this little grayed out block icon, if you roll over it, you'll see the trade block help. It says you click the column with the blocks to add or remove a player. So if I click this block icon, it will put this player on the trade block. So now I have put Robert Knight on the trade block. In doing so, once I leave, as I simulate, there is an option here when you simulate the games to stop on what we call an action email. So if you have this checked up here, when you get an action email, which would be a trade offer, the simulation will stop, and you'll see that you have an email up here, and you can go to the email, and you'll get your trade offers through there for the guys on the trade block. Now, something new that has been added to the trade screen this year is the option to get an immediate offer. So I would put the player in the trade, select the team I would like to trade him to, and then I can click this Get Offer button. So a team could not make an offer. A team might say that they're not interested in him, or a team might make an offer. So in this case, I'll select Denver here, click the Get Offer button, and they're willing to trade me a shooting guard, a first-round pick, and a second-round pick for this player. So you can get an immediate offer if you want. If you click to place the player on the trade block, you'll get the AI to make offers from teams who are interested over the course of the season. And you also will have, the possibility when you put players in the trading block that, those media stories are generated, and, you might have to answer there's action emails for you as a general manager to respond to, local newspapers or stuff like that with questions who might question you about, is this player on the trade block? And then you have an opportunity to respond to that, which will impact the player either positively or negatively in terms of his attitude, if that does happen to come up. So that is part of the trade block, that if you're shopping players, the players can find out about it and might not be happy about that. And while we're on the trade screen, one other thing that has been in the works here that I talked about prior was a sign and trade option that I've been working on. So I want to just pull that up real quick. Sign and trade is something people have asked for a very, very, very long time. It's very difficult to handle it from the game's perspective. So I've kind of come up with a way to gamify it, like we've done in some of the other things. So during free agency now, for those interested in the sign and trade option, if you go to trade a player, your trade player screen, and scroll down, you'll see players that you have the bird rights to listed here with a salary and this thing will say 4 years S&T, so 4 years sign and trade contract. So what this will allow you to do is it will allow you to trade this player. Now, if he's a restricted free agent and he's already accepted a tender offer, you won't be able to trade him, just like in real life. But otherwise, you'll be able to use these players in trades, and if they are traded, then they will sign a 4-year contract starting at the salary that is generated here, which is what they're asking in free agency. So it's not going to be like you can go cheap on these guys. The way the sign and trade will work is they're getting the contract they want, and they're getting the 4-year deal, and you're being able to trade them for something rather than lose them for nothing. Now, again, part of this sign and trade option here is that the player has to want to go to that team. So I can include a player in a trade, and they're not interested in Ish Smith here, which this league was done using a community roster mod. But if you make it, you might come up with a fair trade that the other team would accept, but your player might not want to sign, might not want to go to that team. So in real life, you would, he obviously wouldn't agree to a sign and trade if he didn't want to go to that team. So that will be part of it here. The player will have to want to go to the destination that you're trying to trade into. But I think it was a good compromise as a way to get sign and trades into the game, because it's playing through. you don't like to lose a player for nothing when in real life you could at least try a sign and trade. So that option will be on the table here for you. So we got off on trading tangent there, so I wanted to kind of bring that up again from last week. But back to the chat box and Norlands and his original question about the what did we call it in pro football, the specialty trait. Yeah, the floor general. I like that idea. I've made a note of it. I think we're kind of on the same page, and season that chimes in with giving you a quick glance at a player without figuring out through his ratings. That's a good point. So that's something that we can try to add in here. Phenom Jones, welcome to the chat. That's a new name for me seeing in the chat, so welcome. I'd love to see you run through setting a depth chart in a minutes timeline because I could never get it to work properly in 2020. Auto always left blanks and was too time consuming to set lineups. Loved everything else about the pro and college games, though. Big fan. Okay, we can do that. This is what the chat here, the Developer Dynasty, is all about. Either showing off new stuff, getting feedback, helping you guys out. So I'm going to pull up that league I had first because it was in the middle of the season. And we can show working the depth chart. So we go to the depth screen here. The easiest way to start is by having the AI suggest it for you. So you can click AI suggest all, and it will give you a starting point to work with. From there, the way I do it would be like I would look at the suggested here, and then I would start to make tweaks. So I would say, okay, I don't want the point guard here to play the entire first quarter. So I'm going to click the point guard button, and I'm going to sub him out just before the quarter ends, hopefully. And then I'm going to look here at my lineup, and I'm going to say, okay, this is the lineup I want to end the quarter with. And then coming back to start the new quarter, we're going to have these guys in here. So that's one way to do it. By the way, before you do the AI suggest, or if you're changing your lineup because of injury, you can always click the store lineup button. And that way, if you click it and you don't like the AI suggestion, or you made changes because of injury and then you want to go back when you're done, you can click that restore lineup button and it'll bring it back for you. So you can have one saved lineup. The other option on the set by minutes, it does tell you that the AI will attempt to fill in as much as possible, but you have to check for empty spaces. So, doing it this way, it's just kind of trying to give you the best fit possible. I'm just kind of randomly throwing out numbers here, but it will try to generate as best as possible. But then, there could be empty spots, like here in this spot. It didn't have a power forward because it had already allocated all the minutes for this guy, and whoever the backup power forward spots are happen to be in the games, at other options. So, in this case, you would have to kind of look here. Maybe we need some kind of indicator here to tell you which one is blank. That might help, so that I could see at a glance that, okay, this one needs a power forward, so I'll just fill it with him for now, and then we've got that that grouping filled. So it does do the best it can with your specific minutes, but it's very difficult to take the minutes that just from a minutes standpoint and adjust it to a full 2-minute rotation period. So that's why it does the best it can, and then needs you to kind of follow up on that. Breeze, are there free agent rumors? A free agent destination rumor would make free agent cool. There are. And Phenom Jones, that is absolutely not a negative comment at all. That is a great, a very helpful comment, because anything that is difficult to use, I want to make it easier to use for you and everybody else. So, absolutely, that is absolutely not a negative comment at all. In free agency, Breeze, there are rumors, and in fact, on the free agency screen now, this is something new to the game in 2021, you'll be able to click the button that says latest rumors. So there was no rumors that day. I'll advance it a day so that you can see the rumors. But you'll be able to click on that, and it will show you the rumors for that day. So we'll just let it sim through the first day here, and then I'll click the button so you can see what the rumors are. And I'll let you take a look at that while I make a note on the depth chart. So the rumors are, they've always been in the game, but this way it highlights them better. So let's move on to a couple of things. I mean, this half hour is absolutely flying by, so I want to get to a couple of other things really quick because I want to talk about the linked league feature again that's been expanded with Draft Day Sports College Basketball 2020, and of course it will work with College Basketball 2021 when it's out later next year or early next year in 2021. One suggestion that came over in the last stream was being able to bring not only the college players' stats over from College Basketball 2020, but their awards. So that has been done. So now if you have your leagues linked, and it will bring in not only his college stats on his draft card or his player card afterwards, but it will also list the awards. And I can show you that in a minute. One option here I wanted to talk about on the Scout draft page here. Again, this is a linked league here, so you're getting the probable draft pool, plus you're getting all of every team roster from College Basketball 2020 pulled in here for you to see. And there's also now the monitored players list, which will carry over from season to season for players who don't declare for the draft and are not, so that way you don't lose track of players that you may have grabbed. You might find a guy who's a freshman, and you want to click this icon to add him to your scout list, your monitor list, so that you can just kind of do that and then go to your monitor list and find everybody that you're monitoring all at once, and it will track them right there for you. And if they don't declare for the draft, it'll continue to track them year after year for you, so you don't lose track of you don't forget the guys that you are really interested in at one point in time. There's also a request from I believe it was GM Games, Chris, on the dashboard to order the players by position instead of by last name. So there will be an option here where you'll be able to go to the options screen and you'll be able to turn this off, show dashboard by last name. And if you turn that off and go back to the dashboard, then it will organize them by position. So you have point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and then center. So that'll just be a quick option for anybody who prefers to have it by position rather than alphabetically by name. And I'm going to grab a different league here as we get ready to wrap up so that you can see the awards that have been pulled in. I have we'll run through the draft really super quick, and then you'll be able to see an example of what the data is pulling in. I'm going to mute the sound so we don't have the cut scene and the music, and we'll finish the draft really quick. So while we wait for the draft to finish up so you can see that, again, this is using the linked league option, which the link option does exist in Pro Basketball 2020 to link with College Basketball 2020. And what it does, it allows the rookies to come in, as long as you do things in the right order, and instructions are in the help menu for Pro Basketball. As long as you do things in the right order, it will bring in rookies automatically from your college season as you play that along. So you play the season side by side. The game has specific things that need to be done in order, and then on a certain date in the game, it brings the rookies in for you. So you don't have to export things or deal with any of that sort of thing. So what we've done here is we're just expanding the options. We're bringing in the news from the college world. When you click on the media, you'll be able to choose, the college association that you've linked to. It will give you news during the season. That scout draft screen showed you that it will track every team. It pull in all the team players and stats from your college season. The standings page will give you every league, every conference in your college basketball 2020 league and pull in the wins and the standings there, so you'll be able to see that. In anything else that you would like to see linked here to pull in data from, let me know, as we'll work on doing just that. So I wanted to show off the player card as well. This guy, Brian Jones, he came in as a linked league rookie. So the player profile will now show his awards that he won while in your Draft Sports College Basketball Association. So it'll show all the awards he's won coming into college. It will also show you, if you click on the player stats, his college stats that will follow him into the game as well. So you're really, with the linked league option, going to build a huge depth to your game world, and it's really going to, even if you don't do anything in the college game other than sim, you don't have to coach a team, you don't have to do anything other than use the college game to sim forward and generate those rookies and move the league along. So that the expansion between those two games and the data that's coming in is going to make a huge difference and really give you a deep game world, which is, and if you don't use the game, it's still going to give you a draft class every year like it does in Pro Basketball 2020, and that's fine if that's all you need is a draft class every year. But if you want that depth and the richness, you're going to want to get, if you don't have it already, College Basketball 2020. And like I said, College Basketball 2020 will work with Pro Basketball 2021. So you'll be able to pull in the rookies from that game. The code's already in there, and actually we pushed a College Basketball update the other day, which has that code already in it. So if you've got the latest version of College Basketball 2020, it will be able to talk to Pro Basketball 2021. A couple things here in the chat just as we wrap up. Breeze, for set by minutes by players, they forget how many minutes the players had before. I suggest they show the number for players who already have minutes so I can change them easier. Okay. The minutes played are shown on the depth screen, but we can carry that over to the set by minutes screen as well, so that you know what they were working with before. That's a good suggestion. And multiple save lineups for injury and rest purposes. That's something I'll take a look at. The one reason that there's only one right now is because it just becomes extra data the game is managing and handling, that I don't know how many people would use multiple different lineups as multiple different kind of strategies there, as opposed to having their one default lineup and then making adjustments based on injury or whatever. And then is it possible to add some of the tournament final bracket results, or at least the final four? That's a good suggestion. We can see what we can do about that. So this half hour has absolutely flown by, and it was great. I mean, this is a great chat today, not only showing off new things that are being worked on, but also being able to clarify how some things work, or talking about them and finding out ways to improve them on the fly. So that's absolutely a huge reason why we've been doing this for 2 months now, and we're going to continue to do this Developer Dynasty as we're working on building out the games. So I want to thank everybody who joined the chat tonight and joined us on the stream. Especially I want to thank our subscribers. Again, if you have the ability or the opportunity, if you have that free subscription every month, you have to renew it every month and redo it every month, and re-up every month with us. But if you've got that free sub, and you can throw it our way, We would hugely appreciate that. So thanks everybody for joining me tonight. I hope that you found the stream informative. I know it was a very helpful stream for me, getting some great ideas. I've got 7 or 8 things down just from this chat alone that I can add and improve on and try to work on. So I want to thank everybody for joining me, and I will invite you to stop by the stream 7:30 on Friday night as we talk about Pro Football 2021. And we'll be back with more streams on Draft Day Sports Pro Basketball 2021 as well. So thanks, everybody, and have a great week, and hope to see you Friday.